Please like and subscribe to the Couch and the Rube YouTube channel. Also download podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. For sponsorship opportunities, email Jason at couchandtherube.com.
What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, our Friday show, presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Have the whole casino right at your fingertips. Or you can head on down to Dacey's Taproom and Sportsbook, just off I-94 in Battle Creek, for events like UFC Fight Night on July 11th, McGregor vs. Holloway, 9 p.m., big screens, big energy, wall-to-wall action from every angle. Make your picks at the Sportsbook and watch the fight. Enjoy the food at Dacey's Sportsbook and Tap House. And, go anytime. You want to watch Wimbledon? You can take bets there at Dacey's Taproom and Sportsbook at Firekeepers Casino. Or, again, download the app. Have it at your fingertips anytime. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Soccer is boring.
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
People are nuts. I'm not nuts. They're nuts.
Let's go green. Go God.
What is up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? Ready for the weekend?
I am.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a little short on sleep, but feeling good.
Oh, yeah?
It's amazing how much less you can go on when you there's just no other option. It's great. I didn't know I didn't know this existed. I didn't know this part of me that I could tap into was there.
So those celebrities like Mark Wahlberg and Dana White that say that you can get by on 5 hours. Because Mark Wahlberg has those things where he gets up at like 3 a.m. and does like a whole workout.
See, I don't.
Before 5 Club, he calls it. And I see that and I go, man, that looks great. But he also has personal trainers and a chef, private jets.
Didn't you also have, like, it was John Gruden used to say he only needed 4 hours sleep and that helped him in coaching. Maybe that it didn't exist before I had.
And now he looks terrible.
Before I had an infant, it was not something that appealed to me at all. Right. I don't get it. Sleep is important. Sleep is great for health.
Especially at your age now, as a new dad. I mean, that's what's wild about doing it at your age.
Being an old new dad, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, now is when I need sleep the most.
Right. Cora's likely to kill me now.
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. I'm trying to explain this to her.
You almost killed me. Like, I can see at her, like, 10th birthday. It's unbelievable. You killed my sleep action.
At 3 a.m, I'm like, I'm having chest pains, Cora. I think this is related to you. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Dad. It has nothing to do with the food I've seen you eat this past 9 years.
Yeah. Now, give me that
Not
damn
that, it's me.
Give me that damn bottle. Let's get to it.
Oh, man. Fatherhood. At least one of us is doing it. Go ahead, man.
Again,
you take that reign.
You might have. You just didn't. You signed the paper and gave up.
Yeah, but
the
I would have
child.
skipped over that, whatever you're doing now, even if that kid is mine. That's what I mean. That's why I didn't want to become a father. I knew how bad of a father I would have been.
For people who don't know the story, somebody showed up at your door asking you to sign a paper releasing.
No, there was correspondence on, back then it was MySpace. She did send me a message via MySpace saying that there's a possibility that child could be mine and that she had met another gentleman that wanted to adopt the kid. This was like years after the fact.
Okay.
Right. It wasn't like a newborn.
So she just needed to make sure you weren't going to swoop into the picture and screw the whole thing up because you wanted to be a dad so badly.
Yeah. Like I would see that on social media. I'm like, you know what? That looks like fun. I want in on her life. The girl I broke up with a couple years, ruined my life for a couple of years. Yeah. No, so she asked me, and I tried doing the right thing. I asked if I could get a paternity test, but then I found out those are like $500-$600, and she wanted me to pay for the whole thing, and then I was like, all right, because my mother really wanted it to be true.
Yes,
she wanted to be a grandma really bad, but I was like, that's not happening. So anyway, they sent an attorney over to the house, and in the driveway, I signed off. Yeah.
Definitely a story worth telling. I love that one.
It's for the better for everybody,
The rubber really hits the road in parenthood when you have, like this morning, I'm down there by myself with her. It's about 8, and I hear a bird in the chimney or in the fireplace. Right?
Oh,
yeah, not good. And Elizabeth and I had a routine before Cora. Right? I'm scared of anything that flies. I can deal with anything on the ground. Well, not anything. You know the story of the rabbit where I had to call for help in the neighborhood. But anything that flies, I do not want in the house. But we've got a routine like and we need to get this chimney capped, but it's up high, and a few people have been unwilling to do it. And so anyway, it needs to be done. But I hold this giant blanket so that the bird does not fly into the dining room area. And Elizabeth opens the flue, and then we have one massive window open that's near. The bird always flies right out. But Elizabeth does the part of like opening the flue where her face is actually near where the bird's coming out. I stand 15 feet away with a massive blanket over my whole body. Today was one of those days like you are a dad now.
Yeah.
You have to do this yourself.
Protect her.
Well, not only that, you protect her and your wife. You're not waking your wife up to
Elizabeth, can I bother you for a second?
Can I have you hold open the flue and help me get the bird out?
Knock, knock.
So I'm like, I'm going to take care of this. And then the bird's just quiet. I think maybe occasionally they find their way out. We get like one of these a year, 2 of these a year. And I'm like, oh, great. I don't hear it for 4 hours. I just get a text now from my wife at home. Bird in the chimney. I'm like, oh, shit. All right.
Still kicking.
And I
would think that the bird's dead. So I'd be like, all right, let's move on with our lives. But yeah.
This is when you've married the right woman. So my text back is, I'll get it when I get home. She then replied, and I tell her, I said it was there this morning, and then it was silent for hours. I thought it was gone. And she replies, I'll help. You hold the blanket.
That's
a woman
who knows.
What a
Hallmark movie.
She knows her husband. I'm trying to be a man.
She knows her husband's a soft chick.
She's preserving my dignity. We're just going to get this done together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Glad you guys are on the same page. That makes marriage sound so much fun.
It is fun. Yeah, it is great. But anyway, I need to get that chimney cap. Write that down. We are going to have what I think is a fun show today. We're going to dig into your Twitter questions, and I think there's some really strong stuff. Good conversation on Michigan State basketball and Jay Batt, on U of M and Dusty May, on the Pistons, Tigers, some World Cup stuff. Terry and Arnold. There's a lot of good stuff we're going to dig into. I think will be great. And also a show note, this is our last show for a couple weeks.
Forever.
Just for a couple weeks.
This is it, last show ever.
That's the way it'll happen, too. But we're just taking our 2 weeks usually, or we take usually a small break around July 4th. Doing that again. We'll be back refreshed. I'd like to say better than ever, but that's not always the case. Don't tell
intern Nolan. Just have him show up Monday and sit here.
I love it.
And work on the show.
I actually texted Dominic last night because I was like, Dominic's going to be pissed. I need to give him a heads up.
Oh,
he was great over text. I just told him that we're going to have a
Usually
break.
Is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same as Twitter questions and his takes. It's still good via text, too.
Yeah, so it was good. All right, before we dig into those Twitter questions, as we do at the end of every week, what we are betting this week, presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers Casino and Sportsbook app. Are you betting anything this weekend?
Of course I am. I had to after the Eric Cole giving out that first round leader, cashing that at 64-1 odds, $5 paid $3.25. So you know what you have to do. You got to hop on that app after you're stoned, after celebrating, and fire some more bets in, like round 2 leader Nico Echevarria at plus 1950. A lot of these bets are not going to be helpful to you guys whenever you listen to this, but just want to let you know you can win golf bets, and it is fun, and it is amazing. I don't know about the Tigers. I can't. With the Detroit Tigers, putting bets together. Now these guys, the Players Union wants to end player props. I'm like, you guys better be careful because sometimes those player prop parlays are the only reason why people are watching baseball, right? And I understand that people are getting on them at games and stuff, but why do we? It annoys me that we let the select few ruin things for people that can handle it.
Yeah, and
getting rid of all prop parlays.
I think I'm willing to do it at the college level because I think, and I understand there are a few bad actors at the pro level, but it's professional sports and we're doing, gambling is everywhere and this is part of the fun of it. And you're right. I think it does add to the interest. At the college level, I don't love over-unders on 18 and 19-year-old kids, even if they're getting paid now. I don't love the pressure that comes with them on social media.
But touchdown bets, I can't even do that. I don't know. These guys are making money now.
Okay, well, but maybe that could be agreed upon. And it probably wouldn't be because people who actually do this stuff would ban it all.
But why don't we just start shaming some of these people that are DMing these athletes? Let's
public square. I like it.
Yeah, because I don't understand. It just I feel like I don't have anyone in my life that would do something like, well, maybe Jordan, Michigan fan Jordan. I don't think even he would DM an athlete like that, right? So I just don't have many people in my life. So it just annoys me when we have to get rid of something and people can't go. Like we were talking about the golf tournament and the U.S. Open at Shinnecock about these guys yelling stuff. I think it's just more, to be honest with you, they want to be famous.
Well, there are certain kinds of bets that are different than others. So if you're a receiver, or say you're a power forward and it's over under 4.5 rebounds and you get in foul trouble and somebody's giving you shit or they're giving the ref shit or whatever, that's different, I think, than a touchdown bet. A touchdown bet feels more, unlikely and random. Like you lose a touchdown bet, that's kind of on you, and everybody kind of accepts that. Touchdowns are rare. They're hard to do, right? Rebounds are going to happen. Like if you average 8 a game and so that I think there are levels to it in which you could still do it in at least at the college level. But I understand.
But it goes for the college as well. I mean, not only do the pros need some of these prop bets to make you watch some of these games, but I think college sports, especially if you're going outside of the top, programs that are spending money, some of these games, what is the point of them if you're going to take some of the prop bets away?
I once had this argument with John Lewandowski, the former SID at Michigan State.
Lou Dog, yeah.
Because before gambling was legal, I, of course, talked about gambling. I enjoyed it, and I talked about it, and I would talk about the point spread and other things like this. And I remember once, he was a little annoyed at it, and it was a more taboo back then. But I just, my whole point was, even then, I thought gambling was paying for a big chunk of college sports. Like, part of the audience was invested. This is what MACtion came to be, because they were, and so you can poo-poo it, you can not like it, but it's paying your salary, your athletic department salary, because it's paying the TV revenue. It's leading. Everything is connected, and so the people do need to be aware that whether you like it or not, if you want the money that's in the game right now, gambling has to be part of that because that's part of the interest. And you can take it away, but then everything gets slimmed down, right? And that's a different, a different conversation. I would be okay losing prop bets for college kids. I would also love to hear from, and maybe this is a conversation sometime, a good story to do or column, talking to players about their experiences with this. I'd like to know how often it happens. Like if you're Carson Cooper and, you don't get 6.5 rebounds, how often do you open your DMs or an Instagram or whatever it is, or run into people or whatever?
Why are you opening your DMs?
Well, that's a whole different thing because you're a kid and that's what you do. And
I mean, like I give out my golf picks. If someone was DMing me and hey, shithead, nice top 30 pick or something, just like going in, I'd go, all right, block, mute, or whatever. Right. I'm never hearing from this person again. I know on a grander scale. I mean, obviously Carson Cooper would get it on a grander scale, but I just feel like I wouldn't. I don't know.
When
it's
you're
just a part of
think about the decisions you made as a 19-year-old, Jason. We've had the conversations, right? The 21-year-old, right? Like think about that's who's you're telling to be disciplined here.
Yeah,
you're telling your 19-year-old self.
Also, it's on the player a little bit to kind of understand that these people are absolute idiots, and 19-year-old Rube would have been an idiot and should have been ignored, like I probably was back when I was 19.
But if you were in the player's shoes, I'm saying you would have also been somebody who looked at your DMs, who cared.
But I would realize when I'm getting cut those nice checks that are coming into my account, I'd go, look at my account, dude. You can DM me all you want because if that's what comes with me getting paid and getting broken off, then go ahead. Say whatever you want in the DMs. We always talk about how we can, there's a price that we'll do stuff for. And if you tell me there's a certain amount of if you tell me there's a $500,000 there, but guess what? There's going to be people shooting DMs that you don't know, and they're going to threaten your life and tell you that they hate you. I'd be like, all right, well, I guess what is that? I won't check that then.
Yeah.
It's just a part of both. I get it. Just like in today's society, you have to ignore certain people. You can't just all of a sudden correct one thing that people seem to enjoy because there's a couple handfuls of people that are complete assholes. Public shaming. Let's go back to it.
I like it.
I'm in.
I like where you're at. Well, I am. I too am. Like the Tigers with the bets.
Did you bet against U.S. Soccer last night?
No. Well, yes, I did. Yes.
Treese actually stayed up, watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, I had I had to go to bed because of our timings of things with Cora. But I knew they weren't going to play all their top guys. I knew the game didn't matter. and I knew I was going to watch it. It would have been different if the game mattered. I wouldn't have done it. There wasn't very much on it. With the Tigers, it's interesting. When Skubal pitches, I think you bet against him because there's great value. They're still likely to blow it, and it's like plus 132 for the other team. But there are other things you start to learn them. Troy Melton pitches, you leave him alone, right? Troy Melton's pretty good. Like there's guys you kind of do it bit by bit with the Tigers. Flaherty being on the DL is
might not have to worry about Skubal anymore. A couple weeks.
That's true.
Maybe when we get back.
We'll talk about that in the Twitter questions here. I do have a couple World Cup things I like in the next round. You can find South Africa plus 250 over Canada to advance in the round of 32. I like that a little bit. I like Japan a little bit plus 245. And so the couple games as those start to develop. The group games, again, be careful. Teams have different motivations. We saw that with the U.S. last night. I would keep your powder dry this round and wait till you get to the round of 32 for.
Keep your powder dry
for more World
like
Cup
talcum
bets.
powder in your bag.
That's yeah. All right, let's. Are we ready to dig into these Twitter questions?
Let's do it.
All right.
Eric Schultz is up first. A recent report predicted that the average Big Ten school is paying athletes $48 million, more than double the rev share amount. Do you think MSU is close to that? Remember when a certain AD, who will one day get an ovation at Breslin, said donors are being told to just get us to the rev share?
So I don't know which report that was. I don't believe it, because it's not saying that there aren't a couple Big Ten schools that are up there. I don't believe it's the average. I don't believe it. That's close. Just having a sense of what some schools have struggled with, from Nebraska to Minnesota to Iowa, Wisconsin, places that have gotten rid of collectives, places that have struggled to raise it. There are a few schools that have, I think, a lot of money. I think Indiana is one because of its basketball obsession, coupled with the rise of football and now being a football school that has a lot of money. Michigan has a lot of money. Ohio State has a lot of money. I would guess Penn State right now has a lot of money. Oregon, so that's 5. Maybe USC, 6. So you're talking a third of the schools that are really and I think 48 would be even high. And we're talking the total amount. This is, not just football programs, but I would be surprised if it's more than that, and I would be surprised if all 6 of those are there. But it is interesting when you think about both Haller and J Batt talking about being a top 10 athletic department or getting in the top third of schools in the Big Ten, which means being a top 6, which I think is a reasonable goal for Michigan State. Like, to me, if you're financially bringing in revenue and competing in an NIL budgets in the top 6 in the Big Ten, which is 18 teams, which has a lot of big boys, if you're able to actually be there, you're going to have programs that have a chance to really compete. But that shows you what you're up against right now. I do not think MSU is close to that. And I don't think most of the Big Ten is close to that. And I just don't.
Eric, I went back and listened to your first post-Moneyball show from a year ago. Surprisingly, Couch's predictions largely proved to be true. Which Moneyball prediction from this year is most likely to come to fruition this upcoming season?
It's a good question.
What were the ones last year?
I don't remember, but they were, it's a good question. Those are
Come
all
on, Schultz. I mean, he listened. Why couldn't you put them down here for us?
I think Josiah, we'll fix that in post. Josiah Jervis, just watching him play, and I know he had 41 last night, but Pierre Brooks had 41 last night. It's not about that. It's about when you watch his first step and you watch him there are certain guys you just watch the way they carry themselves and they play, and you go, yeah, I'm going to be really surprised if that doesn't translate. And there are other guys that when Kurt Tang was dropping 45 at Moneyball is going into his freshman year, it's like, or sophomore year, whatever year that was, freshman year, right? It was. I didn't think he was going to be a star, right? And so that's one. I wrote a column today on now I'm blanking because I've been up since 3.
Jervis.
No, it was not on.
Avent.
Avent. Julius Avent. That's not good. It was only a few hours ago. And I do think he's going to be a quality player. I do wonder how quickly he'll there's a lot of options at the 4 spot. and he talks about the ability to play the 3 or the 2. We'll see it when we believe it, because we'll believe it when we see it. There are a couple things that happen at Michigan State in Izzo's system. The 3 and the 4 are very different positions. The 2 and the 3 are a little more interchangeable. And rarely do you see young players play both the 3 and the 4 in the same year, because it's just two different defensive situations to learn. And so I think this year he will be mostly a 4. But one of the things, again, that I do like about the 5-for-5 rule, where you get 5 years to play 5 seasons, is guys who may have to work themselves into the rotation, guys who are interesting, but you're not committed to their role at the beginning or whatever. You can play them as much as time allows, and it doesn't bother. I mean, that part of it I really like. I mean, early in the season, if you're up 15 on a team, you can make him a bigger part of the rotation. But he is, you do have to trust your eyes on some stuff, and I'm trying to not ignore him, because Cam Ward yesterday compared him to Jordan Scott last year. Guy who always makes the right plays, quiet, early, and you sort of early on in the season, Jordan Scott didn't play Moneyball, but early on in the season, we saw Jordan Scott. You're like, wow, that guy makes a huge difference. They're just better when he's on the floor. Look at that plus minus. Look at all that. Okay. And you had to sort of learn to trust it. Like, is he really just a lot better than we thought? A year earlier, Jace Richardson, was he going to be in the rotation, or was it going to be Kurt Tang? And then the Kansas game happens, and it's like, is he the best player on Michigan State's team? And you have to sort of allow yourself to believe what you're seeing, regardless of recruiting rankings, which get stuff wrong. And those are players where, think about Michigan State and recruiting rankings over the last few years. Nobody better than Xavier Booker, right, who turns out to be a bust. Pretty modest rank. Jace Richardson, kind of a 3-star guy. That he thought he would be good, although he didn't think he'd be that good. Jordan Scott, a little bit more modest recruit. Julius Avent, the lowest of, still a top 100 guy, but the lowest of this class. And sometimes you have to just put that aside and trust your eyes. And so I'm trying to trust my eyes on it. I do think, like at 6'7", even with a 7'3" wingspan, I wonder how much as a freshman the bully ball thing will really work down for him, how much he'll be able to get downhill and be efficient. And but I don't know. And, I brought up the comparison in the column to Andre Hudson, because similar size and obviously 30 years ago or whatever it was. But the thing about Hudson is they didn't know he was going to be that good. And he wound up being a pivotal piece of their first Big Ten title and their national championship runs. And he was just ready as a freshman, way more than they thought. And sometimes that stuff happens. So I'm trying to keep an open mind. I think he's really intriguing as a player going forward. I don't have a great feel on whether it'll be this year.
Dominic next. So glad you guys are back. I was scared you were going to do that multi-week vacation thing again. Been feeling down, and I'm relieved I can count on you doing 3 show weeks all the way into football. When is my in-studio show dedicated to Pete Rose getting into the Hall of Fame?
So this question came 30 seconds after the text last night. He and I were on the same shift.
Monday. You can do the Pete Rose show Monday.
Yeah. You and Nolan.
Intern Nolan will be here.
Yeah. Dominic and Nolan.
Yeah. I'd tune in.
I would too. I would be interesting to see Dominic on the show, because he's really good as a writer. But when you write, you have a little time to craft something. Like, I'd be curious to see.
So what are you calling? You calling him out? Are you saying he couldn't do it
I am
under
not.
the bright lights?
He might be even better. I'm not calling him out. I'm just saying it would be interesting to see if his wit carried over on air to the same level.
Wow, what pressure.
Yeah, that's what we have to. We'll have to find that out sometime.
See if you can handle it, Dominic. Renee Janke next. Is Kurt Tang practicing currently? I know he had surgery and isn't participating in Moneyball. When is he expected to make a full return?
I think, and Chris Solari talked to him the other day, I think it's later this summer that he'll be fully back. He's not participating. I don't think he's practicing yet, because it was a surgery situation. I'm curious with Kurt Tang, like, you don't want to lose too much of the summer. You don't want to fall too far behind. Now, he's a little more established, and so it's not like a freshman coming in. But, for him, this is an interesting year, because I don't know that he's ever going to be a great defender. Now, he can be a very attentive defender, and he can become somebody who doesn't hurt you because of the mentality. But athletically, I think there's some limitations there. And so he has to become an elite shooter as they get better at that position. Last year, he had moments where you see he's a pure shooter, and they needed that position so badly it worked for him, and he got time, and he had moments. But if Jervis winds up being the player that I think he can be, if you've got more depth at the wing and Jordan Scott's playing the two, like for Kurtang to really have minutes, he's going to have to be elite at something. He's going to have to, be better at something than anybody else is. And so I'm curious to see losing this time, where his shot is. He needs that shot to be something else.
Ben Jen, does what you're seeing at Moneyball change either the floor or the ceiling for MSU basketball?
That's dangerous.
Please say yes.
Despite my predictions that Eric said were on last year, I don't think you want to take too much about, the context of what you thought of this team overall. I think the floor is probably a little higher. I wouldn't raise the ceiling.
What about the roof?
The roof I would raise entirely. The floor just being a little higher because what you wait until Moneyball to see if there are any red flags. And, that's one thing you go, oh, boy, that looks like a project, or that guy doesn't really move well. And like if Anton Bonk had been somebody who went, man, that guy looks slow. Then you start to see, okay, that didn't happen. So I would say the floor of what I kind of wanted to see is probably a little bit higher. But it's a team that I thought had a pretty high floor and a pretty high ceiling. So, I mean, Moneyball is just one of those things there are a few things to take away from. And I'd say the floor is maybe a little higher, but I wouldn't mess with the ceiling.
Ben Jen, what do you think of all the Pistons moves, and who would you sign and trade Duren for? And from Couch on Fire, is Duren done as a Piston? And from Matt Salisbury, what do you think the big move is for the Pistons? I hope not Norm Powell.
Yeah, you're seeing some, Jalen Brown talk, which would be interesting.
You like that?
I do. Because I think
it's 30, making $60 million per year.
Yeah, but I think he's a legit.
Hate Stephen A. I like that.
I think he's a legit 1A on a championship team, and we've seen it. He's won a title. And that's what you ultimately need. Like, I understand you'd have to replace Duren, but I think he's easier to replace and than it is to get a Jalen Brown type. And I understand Jalen Brown is not a perfect player, but it's hard to find a perfect player. If you can afford to do it and the Celtics were up for it, I would be 100% inclined to do that. Is he a little bit older than Cade? Yeah, but he's in his prime right now. He's in his prime for the next 3-4 years. And, I think it immediately, makes you very, very interesting in the East. And, I would do that. I don't know about Duren. It's interesting that they're reportedly apart on negotiations, but I like that the Pistons are standing firm. If somebody else wants to come in and offer a max and an offer sheet, now they can't offer what the Pistons could, but the Pistons shouldn't be offering the other team's max anyway. And there's some negotiations about sign and trades, and that's where the Jalen Brown thing comes into.
Would we have to give up anything else in the Jalen Brown thing? I know the sign and trade.
Well, the contracts.
Why would Boston? And Boston would want to do that.
The contracts have to match a little bit too, and so there would be more parts in it. Yes, absolutely, from the Pistons, and they have draft picks. They've been good at not. A lot of these teams, like you look at Minnesota, which just traded for LaMelo Ball. They've given up most of their picks before this point for Rudy Gobert and other things. The Pistons are in pretty good shape, not just financial flexibility, but they have their assets in hand, and that's.
But why would Charlotte trade LaMelo?
Because he's not a winner,
right? I mean, I just didn't like that for Minnesota.
I think it was.
There's no way Anthony Edwards is happy about.
He is
that
happy.
trade.
I think he wanted it.
Really?
Because I think
LaMelo's a smart basketball player. I think he could be. I just think that everything that comes along with him is just complete ass. I wouldn't want to deal with it.
But I think Minnesota was at the point where the current roster they had wasn't going to win. They had to take a swing. They only had so many assets to do it. They're going to have to take a flawed star back. They needed somebody who took pressure off Ant Edwards, and where people couldn't double team him anymore. And LaMelo does that. Like LaMelo's skill set alone, outside of the injuries and the fact that he doesn't always play winning basketball, is exactly what you need. The problem is the other stuff, right? And I think Charlotte was smart enough to say, this is the best he's ever going to be. Let's move now, and they did.
But Minnesota overpaid. I just feel like they overpaid for him.
Yeah.
Frank Vachner next. The Isaiah Stewart trade was just a salary dump so the Pistons can bring back their own guys. Yet fans continue to take Brian Windhorst's reporting about going big game hunting out of context.
I don't know. I mean,
well, it just sucked. It sucked losing the guy. I like those old school guys that don't take any shit, but come on.
He's one of the former guys. And because he was traded and didn't leave, too, he'll be one of those guys when he comes back to a game 20 years from now, gets a standing ovation. Bigger than Allen
because we're all scared. He's going to run into the crowd.
That's true.
Absolutely. just stand up when you see that guy.
I think it was time to move on from him. Like,
yes.
I think one of the things, he was just as ineffective in the playoffs, and he might have been hurt, and he had been really good at rim protection and other things. But it was time to move on. And
but the reason why he was ineffective is because the referees and the NBA took away that toughness that he had.
But
because you weren't scared of him because you knew if he touched you, you flop. He gets technical. He gets suspended.
Paul Reed seemed to have enough toughness, and he was really effective. And so why not run with him going forward?
Sure. Spartholomew, are we seemingly forgetting that Izzo doesn't recruit NBA players? People getting all up in their feelings about what Michigan did Tuesday. Izzo just doesn't play the same game. It's okay that he takes underdeveloped guys and gives them their best chance for a cup of coffee in the league.
A couple of things here. I don't know what you're talking about with this. Like, Izzo has recruited lots of NBA players. I think Jervis may wind up being an NBA guy. I mean, if you just go back in the last decade plus, like 15 years, guys he's recruited who were big-time recruits, Gary Harris, Jaren Jackson, Miles Bridges. I mean, there were a lot of guys who were, even if they didn't work out, Xavier Booker was a top recruit. I think there's some truth to the our kind of guys things he talks about. And I do think the best kind of recruit you can often get is somebody who sticks around 4 years, the Cassius Winston type. But yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think they do want guys who fit personality-wise and all that stuff, but they go after top talent all the time. I mean, they got 4 guys ranked in the top 100. They've got a couple guys in the top, 50 in this class. I don't think that's the and maybe I'm just misreading what your point is.
Spartholomew, was the 2024 draft being in Detroit the worst thing to happen to Brad Holmes? Guy was apparently so distracted and pressured, he proceeded to put together a class so ass it makes Matt Millen look competent. Well, it wasn't, the worst draft before Terrion Arnold committed one of the worst crimes of all time, which I think he might be able to get out of this, but he's going to have to pay a lot for
You think
lawyers.
he's going to be able to get out of this? I don't think so.
Yeah, since he wasn't at the scene of the crime and he orchestrated it a little bit.
Orchestrating's just as bad.
And live streaming. Dude, like,
it's not good.
We watch Dateline, and I sit there, and I can't believe some of these guys who murder either their wife or someone else, and their plan. Like, I need to see their plan as a whole.
Yeah.
And Terrion Arnold is up there in one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever read in my life. Because I didn't get it. I was like, wait, what? He did what? And to try to go yourself and get back what you thought these people stole from you by setting them up with prostitution, and then they live streamed the beating. Yeah, I understand. I'm just saying that, you get good lawyers, you never know what could happen in today's society. You can get away with stuff if you have enough money.
It helps. I think he's in trouble. I think
there's a reason why he had a suicide vest on when he was in front of the judge the other day. He's got no bail. They're talking life.
Yeah.
It's not great. I'm just saying, there's, you never know one of these big swinging lawyers that comes in there.
Hey, I've never been to jail. You have, this.
I do. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
Leave this to me as someone that did 72 hard days in a county jail.
Another, Yeah. It is interesting that
But I would never commit some fucking crime the way Terrion Arnold did that. If I had something stolen, I would call the police. But why would you live stream it? I mean, like, come on, dude. Does he watch too many movies? Like, or something? Like, what is that? Like,
You know what would be interesting is to go through all the drafts since they've started rotating them. They used to just do them in New York, right? And now every different teams host them, and look at that team's draft the year they host. I wonder if it would be hilarious if it turned out like the worst drafts of like a decade for every team were the year they actually host, and like all of a sudden nobody wants to do it, or everybody's being distracted by other shit or whatever.
Yeah, but you don't get a choice. Goodell tells you you're going to have the draft.
Yeah,
it's yours. Yeah. Corey Ostrom. Should the Tigers trade Skubal now for a fear, bat, and prospects? Why not? The offense is putrid with no consistent home run threat, and the defense could use a third or first baseman or a center fielder if they refuse to bring Clark up. Starting pitching will be fine.
Well, it just sounds easy. If there are lots of prospects and a fear bat available right now, fear bats are hard to get. Like I don't know that if you can get that just with Skubal and a rental. You're going to have to trade them to somebody who knows they can sign them. And
I mean, a fear bat's Jemai Jones, to be honest with you. Am I right?
I always think of fear bat, like from the early Tigers days, as Gary Sheffield. Like that was a fear bat, right? And you need a guy. I mean,
Sheffield was like late 30, yeah.
Yeah, even late in his career though, he was a fear bat. But
I kind of want before the season. Goldschmidt was looking for a team, and I know he wanted, obviously he went to the Yankees, but a guy like that, a veteran first base, like, can we move on from Torque? Like, if we move on from Skubal, should we just move on from Torque at the same time with both guys, like, right? Or do we have to still keep doing the Torque thing?
I would take less for Skubal to trade Torque.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, like
take him with him.
This fucking team. Chris Eastlick, is the J Batt situation becoming uncomfortable in the athletic department, or is it just social media chatter?
No, it's a little. I mean, from what I've been told, he's still in the office, and that's weird.
Wearing Kentucky shit.
I don't think so.
So great.
That's just weird. It's just weird. And I mean, I understand that maybe you're still technically employed, but you've taken another job.
Yeah, go.
And these aren't jobs like it's one thing. So when I left M Live to be hired for the Lansing State Journal, I gave 2 weeks notice, right? Courtesy.
Yeah.
And they, sometimes with competitors, they'll say, just leave now. We don't really want you still working for us. You're going to work for a competitor. But if they trust you and they like you, like M Live at the time was like, we don't think you're going to sabotage everything. Fine. We'd
start writing Carlos Monterez columns.
We'd like to have your final 2 weeks. Plus, it keeps the Journal from having you at the beginning of football season, all that stuff. But this is not my job. These are really big, important jobs, and also jobs. Not that my job's not important, but it's not. But sorry, I'll just move on from this. But these are jobs where you're directing people, where you're directing a new initiative that's taking hold, or you're making important decisions that are long-term decisions, and you're not going to be there. You've chosen to go somewhere else. And a lot of people are going to be there, and it's just distracting. And not only that, I wouldn't want them, if I was Michigan State and there were important people within the athletic department that I wanted to stay, I wouldn't want them messing with their heads. I wouldn't want them saying, come with me, if or whatever. I'd want them out of there. I don't really understand this, and why MSU can't, step in. And I mean, I guess that's Guska, which is also leaving, still there. So I don't know. It's a good question, but somebody should be able to say, hey, man, like, you've chosen to leave, just go.
Yeah, don't you guys have to pack or... Bob in Fort Myers 100% agree that Batt abruptly leaving is suspicious and concerning. Whether it's the viability of Spartan Ventures, the entirety of Greg Williams' $401 million pledge, or a systemic university and athletic department deficits. Something smells. Can someone please share the supposed genius of Batt?
Well, Greg Williams is all in, and I've heard from him on this. Like I don't think that is an issue. I mean, they had a press conference with a $401 million pledge. This wasn't something that's been rumored out there, that could disappear. Like this is legit. He's a pillar in the community. It's not like there's some guy who lives in Hawaii who wants to give money, right? This is Greg Williams, and I mean they live on Greg and Dawn Williams, and they live on a golf course that used to host an LPGA event. We all know where it is, right?
And they eat at Mexican restaurants like normal people.
Correct.
Which is nice to see.
It is. But I do agree that I think, there are a lot of ways to look at this. One could be that he thought the overall financial viability was something that was going to be harder than he maybe anticipated, and then you lose Guskowitz, and it doesn't feel like the guy you had with you is your partner is going to be there. I think Guskowitz leaving was a huge, huge deal, though. I mean, he's said publicly he came because of Kevin Guskowitz. Like, that was the reason he took the job. And, that Guskowitz leaving abruptly, I think Michigan's more important to Michigan State to keep Guskowitz than Batt. But Guskowitz also, the man could have stayed. And technically he hasn't left yet, but he could have stayed. And I understand there were some pain in the ass things going on. I get that, and everybody should do what they ultimately want to do. But you also should, in roles like he had, you should make a commitment to a place, and you should give at least a certain amount of time, especially with the things they had in the fire.
Pound the bushes.
Josh Inwood, MSU has a chance to think outside the box for their next AD. What are the chances they bring someone in from a pro sports background? Someone who is used to dealing with billionaires and working with salaried athletes.
Well, it depends who makes the hire and when. If the next AD is not made until the next president's been in place for a little while, you're talking a year and a half, 2 years from now, who the hell knows? And who knows what that person will think if it's something before then, I tend to think it'll be less outside the box if you're it's being hired by an interim president or what. I mean, ultimately, what Michigan State really needs right now is an interim AD, which I think will happen relatively soon. Obviously, the current AD needs to leave his office for that to happen. But you'll have an interim AD, and you need somebody and maybe it's Jen Smith again, but somebody who really understands the landscape there. Somebody understands what they're doing, the initiatives that has some relationships, and can try to regain and keep whatever it is, some of this momentum. And even if that person's not, maybe they become a candidate, because you shouldn't just poo-poo that person because they're not some big name or you're not paying a ton of money to bring them in from the outside. But I think you need somebody who makes what's happening at MSU look like the wheels are on the tracks as you try to hire your next AD. And then it becomes a really attractive job.
Richard Kane with the chaos and leadership at MSU. How long until the NHL poaches Adam Nightingale?
See, I don't know that. I mean, he was hired by Alan Haller, and then he worked for Jay Batt. I don't know that as long as MSU hockey is getting the resources they are, which is as much, if not more, than anybody else in the sport. And, I mean, when he wants another assistant coach, they get it. When he wants his own, when they wanted Will Morlock because he thought he needed his own guy to strength and conditioning, and he got it. I mean, they've given him what he needs to build there. And
doesn't he love the area, like his family? And
well, I know his in-laws finally moved with them, bought a house near them because.
So if Nightingale leaves, it's really a shit show. We should really be concerned.
Well, I don't know that he's a lifer forever, because you're talking about a guy who's in his mid-40s who may have a little bit of an NHL itch at some point, which I wouldn't blame him for. I mean, who wouldn't want to be? He's been in the NHL before. He knows that life, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he's an NHL head coach. I would be very surprised if he does it before they have NCAA tournament success at the level, at least Frozen Four level, win a national title. Because I think, is for everything that he's done, which is pretty remarkable. Again, you take away Kurt Signetti, and you just look around improbable turnarounds in college sports, and Nightingale is up there, right? I mean, it's amazing. That program was completely dead and irrelevant. I didn't know it could ever get back and be a hopping place over at Munn. And so for even the disappointments in the postseason, it's incredible it is where it is. The number of NHL draft picks and all the other stuff. So even if he left it, he'd be leaving it in great shape. Now, you'd have to make sure you had somebody who could, keep it rolling, and they should do what they can to make sure they keep him for a while. I think he'll stay for a little while, but I don't know, if the right NHL franchise were to come along. My guess is at some point he would listen, but I don't think it'll have anything to do with the chaos at MSU, unless that chaos is all of a sudden falling into the hockey program, and there's things there that can't get done because of it.
I know we always talk about the pros, but doesn't these coaches ever look at guys like, for example, Ron Mason? I mean, what a life that dude led. What a legend. You didn't have to go to the NHL, right? You can
I think
have that having that success for a long period of time and being a legend where you are.
Look
at
awesome. Izzo battled this every time he looked at a pro job.
Yeah.
And look how he's revered and how he's thought of. And I'm sure there's a part of Izzo that still thinks with a couple of those NBA jobs, man, that would have been interesting. I would have wonder what that would have been like. And so Nightingale will have to wrestle with this as well, because it's not like.
But then you look at your Hall of Fame jacket and you look at your history and that you're a legend. You go, yeah, fuck the NBA.
Well, but the NHL and the problem in the NHL, and this is why I say the right job, is a lot of these guys get fired after like 6 games, right? It's just. I remember we joked once to my first job out of school in Freeport, Illinois, before I lived in Kalamazoo.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
We joked about whether we should actually report stories off the AP Wire about NHL coaches being hired and fired, because we thought it was so common that it wasn't news. I mean, it's just like it's like every day. It's like putting your pants on. Okay, is this a story? And what I mean by that is, if you're Adam Nightingale, the odds that you're going to be at the NHL job that hires you more than 3 years is well less than 50%. So you're giving up a lifetime at your alma mater. Doesn't mean you can't come back to college hockey. Doesn't mean you can't work for USA Hockey. Doesn't mean you can't find another spot in the NHL. It's the life you want. The age of your kids will be interesting for him. And I think that stuff will matter to him. I think he has a staff now. His staff is already getting some looks, but he has a staff where they're of a certain age and chemistry, and there's a lot going. I think they enjoy the experience together. So, I remember with Jeff Blashill when he left to be a Red Wings assistant from Western Michigan, and that's the other thing. You don't see a lot of guys straight college to the pros as a head coach in hockey, which really speaks to the fact that there's been even some whispers about it, speaks to the job and Nightingale's done, how much it's been recognized. But I remember when Blashill left Western Michigan when I lived in Kalamazoo. Mm-hmm. You know, if he could have had that same opportunity 5 years later, I don't think he would have left Western Michigan. They just made the NCAA tournament. He was 36, 37 years old. His whole staff was the same age. Their kids were all the same age. He had, you know, it was fun. They were having a great time. But it was like, am I ever going to get this opportunity again? I got to go. You know, and so he did. And so I think it would be interesting to see what Nightingale's faced with if a really good NHL job comes along.
Richard Kane, what was that you were saying about Ronaldo?
I like watching Ronaldo. I just think he hurts you. Look, Portugal, if they did not play Ronaldo, I would pick as a really good dark horse to win the whole thing. I do not think with Ronaldo playing, Portugal can win the whole thing.
Shep, based on what you know so far, assuming Ethan Taylor plays at least his first 2 seasons at MSU, will his stats and positive impact on games be less than, equal to, or greater than Booker's 2 seasons in East Lansing?
It's a good question.
Jesus, I hope so.
Yeah, it's a really good question because the expectations.
Don't say that's a good question. Make it easy. That's an easy answer.
Well, there are lessons from the Booker thing. Now,
positive.
Taylor's not ranked as high. He's a bigger player, bigger build. There are things that are similar in terms of certain skills, but
you say that the Booker rate, like the ranking, was bullshit, right?
It was, but we didn't know that, and I think they even. Like, sometimes the coaches, like I talked about Andre Hudson, they didn't know how good he was going to be, or they didn't know Jace Richardson was going to be quite as good as he was, and all that stuff. The coaches didn't think Booker was his ranking, but they thought he was going to be better than he was, right? They didn't think it was going to be quite the struggle that it was. And so with Taylor, that's really I mean, Booker had a few moments, but I'll be surprised if Taylor, if he plays 2 full years in East Lansing by the end of next year, isn't making more frequent, regular contributions than Booker did during his time.
Shep, Graham, what will you do if Cora grows up to work in TV news for all the wrong reasons and constantly posts selfies holding a microphone?
Oh, shit. It's a problem. It's a problem for another day.
Someone do that?
Well, this is just. I mean,
someone take selfies holding their microphone.
We just talked about. Yeah, this is what TV. You see a lot of TV reporters and reporters loosely. Like that's the other thing. They shouldn't be called TV personalities. Yeah. You're not. If you post a picture of yourself in a scantily clad outfit at a football game, saying "reporting here" or whatever you're doing, or showing yourself, you're not actually a reporter. Okay, let's just know that it's not. Yeah.
And how is that different from a columnist posting their office for a day when they're courtside at a basketball game?
Because I am posting I am taking a picture with the phone, on top of my gut is what, taking the picture. So it's a different.
So since you're morbidly obese,
correct,
it doesn't count.
Right.
So if you were hotter,
yes, you have to be hotter.
Then we could give you shit.
Yes. No, I'm not taking pictures of myself, though. I'm not like...
Yeah, but a part of that is promotion, the local TV news.
They're supposed to do
no
it.
one's watching that shit,
yeah,
except me.
There's some that's not
and
promotion.
Old people.
There's a lot on there that's not promotion. And there's a lot of... I love when a team reporter's like, I'm a reporter. Yeah, you work for the team. You're not really a reporter. That's it. Sorry.
No,
it's just... But that's just like if you're employed by,
SI Maven?
If you're not allowed to ask a critical question, it's not even that you won't, but if you're not allowed to, you're not actually a reporter, okay?
Poplowski's knee brace. I want to bet MSU football over 3.5 at -160, but that means they'll need 2 conference wins. Will they get them?
I think so, and here's why I think that number is low for Michigan State. When you look at the rest of their, just think of last year's team, and this year's team will be different, but last year's team was not good, and yet they blew a lot of games late. They were in games. The DNA of them was one that screwed things up, and yet they still beat 3.5, right? I mean, 3.5 is a low number, and if you do beat those 2 MAC opponents, and you've got, you've got to go basically 2-8 the rest of the way with a bunch of teams that I'm not all that sure of. Some of them at home. I think there are just too many opportunities. Give me some Hoff for 1 second.
Hoff.
Caw.
And I ride and I ride.
I'm
not talking about Michigan.
All right, so, let's say Notre Dame goes poorly on the road at night. Whatever. They're 2-1. Nebraska, is that program? We saw them play Nebraska. They screwed that up. Is that program further along than Michigan State considerably? I don't care what their over-under is. That's a home game at Spartan Stadium in late September. I don't know. Wisconsin on the road. I get Wisconsin. It's on the road, and I would probably pick Wisconsin this far out. That's not really a program that's been winning it. So there are two games that are, I would say, possibilities. Illinois, who I think lost a lot, and are they a more seasoned program? Maybe, but it's at Spartan Stadium in mid-October. Then it's Northwestern, the Fitzgerald Northwestern game, which will be an emotional deal there. And what's their over-under isn't that high. I think it's like 4.5. That's at home as well. UCLA is kind of a mess. We'll see what they are, and that'll be kind of a revenge game for some of these guys on the road in the Rose Bowl, which will be kind of a cool emotional thing for Michigan State. Just that stretch before you get Michigan, Washington, Oregon, and then you finish the Rutgers. I agree. When you get to Michigan, Washington, I think Washington's going to be good. And Oregon, you want to be and Washington and Oregon are at home, but you want to be in a place where you're not desperate for wins. But between UCLA, Northwestern, Illinois, Wisconsin, Nebraska, those 5 games, and that's not even counting Rutgers at the end of the year where there'll be an opportunity on the road. Those 5 games, I think there's a really good chance Michigan State wins 2 of them. And so there's a great chance that you're going to leave October having covered the over if it's 3.5. So that would be, now if it's at 4, and you're getting better juice or whatever, because I'm seeing that line there sometimes like that. I think it's probably a safe line, but there's a chance you won't get paid out. But I think there's a lot of questions about a lot of teams.
Poplawski's knee brace. Should Argentina be scared or thrilled that Messi is their only scorer so far with 5 goals? That's got to be awkward in the locker room there. Hey, guys.
Yeah, he's really, really good. I don't think it's an issue there. I think their issue is I don't love them entirely defensively. And I think when they get – there are a lot of these teams that have looked a certain way so far, and when they get to the quarterfinal level and you're playing the Spains and the Frances and all those, I have some questions about Argentina and whether they're truly one of the top couple teams. And maybe I'm wrong on this. I've been wrong on a fair bit. By the way, Ecuador, bless you. I had that bet that I gave out where it was 8 things had to happen, and it paid a ton. It paid plus 300. And the only thing that looked like it was going to go wrong was Ecuador, which didn't look like they were going to get out of the group, and then they beat Germany to get out of that group. So that is alive, and I hope somebody else is on that without having hedged too much. I just hedged a very little bit because I'm a panicky Pete.
Hedge king.
By the way, if you're watching any of these games and you've got money on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, I would recommend a box of Groovy Donuts at your side. The Black Forest Bismarcks, which are available this weekend, look like something straight out of heaven. And obviously, in June, the maple bourbon bacon fritter, which Jason has seen me eat orgasmically, is available. Well, GroovyDonuts.com and or 2 locations, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, or in Williamston as well.
Poplawski's knee brace. Jason, can you play the other original Hoff song sometimes?
Highway to the danger zone. Right into the danger zone.
When I have lats, I guess we could rotate. I guess.
In December.
Time for a new. December. It's definitely Feliz Navidad.
Unless Flats does a Feliz Navidad, then we've got something.
I think I could get him to do it.
I think you could.
I could. There's a Venmo payment that could happen. I've done it before. Professor Bazooka to the head. Will Terry and Arnold ever play football again?
I don't think so. Because I don't think he's good enough to sit out, even if it's 3-4 years. I think
when you need cornerbacks like we do, yes, he is good enough. Free 6. Hashtag free 6.
Yeah, no,
I think he gets out of this. I really do.
Do you really?
I think he gets out of it.
Should we put a small stake on it? No, we shouldn't bet. This is an awful thing to bet. Okay.
Kalshi? Let's do it. Prediction market.
So when you say get out of it,
are you going to give me odds? I'm up against it. If I'm with Terry and Arnold, I need some sort of odds. You just want to go Rico Beard straight up bet?
Let's go straight up, but let's do it like this. Let's do a zone where it's a push. So anything inside of 5 years you're saying he gets out of it. I'm saying he's going to get more than 5 years. And so anything inside of 5 years but doesn't get out of it is a push. If he gets out of it completely, you win. If he gets more than 5 years, I win.
What if okay. I don't like the push angle. I want a winner and a loser. You're watching
odds.
too much soccer BS. So
Okay.
like you want pushes and 0-0 BS. I want like a
Okay.
I feel like I should get it. If he gets under five, I think that's me.
Okay, under
Push it
5
my
you
way.
get it. Over 5 I get it.
Yep.
And
I get double if he gets really like he doesn't get anything.
and if he gets life, I get double.
If he gets acquitted like OJ,
and
I get double.
over 25, I get double.
Damn, that's actually a good. Damn, that was a good counter. I'm not gonna lie.
Why don't you would you
Over
say
25? Okay, I'll take that.
We're just looking at like a meal at Front 43 and Casking Company.
You on
Perfect.
deal. So
All right.
I got 5 years, free 6. Let's go. All right, Professor. Double bazooka to the head. Assuming the Tigers have a fire sale before the deadline, would you fire Hinch midseason also?
Bazooka time.
I
don't
wouldn't.
think
I
so.
wouldn't.
It's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
It's not going to happen. So I can't even say.
Well, I just don't. Unless like the only way I would do that is if like you really had intrigue in what Chris Federer was as a manager long term, and you wanted to watch him deal with this team the rest of the way, so you're not just cleaning house on the whole staff. That would be the only way I would do it.
I mean, look who is in charge here. We
Right.
had Miggy do a whole freaking tour.
Yeah.
A fat Miggy, Javi Baez is stuck. I mean, like, there's no way they're going to fire him.
If Chris Ilitch wasn't Mike Ilitch's son, say he was Jason Nick's son, how much money would he make a year, and what would his role in life be?
It would have to be under 10K.
Yeah, I think
of
so.
what this
Yeah.
person you're trying to describe.
Yeah.
You know,
I just
it's okay. You can just say
I
it.
just don't know that he's that bright. I don't sometimes.
Who, Chris?
Yeah.
Or me? Oh,
Not you. I think you're
he
bright.
isn't smart enough because there's so many PR things that you could do to make yourself likable.
100%,
And it's
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
to where it would not even put a dent into your net worth.
Yeah.
That's what's wild. Professor, triple bazooka to the head. Which job would you rather have? MSU AD or MSU president?
Bazooka time.
Jeez, Pete, bazookas all over.
A lot of fundraising everywhere. I think I would. Yeah, that's a good question.
Both are kind of ass.
I think there's a lot of stuff with the president's job that would suck.
I don't know. I saw Batt have to go around before a game, like some of that B-roll they were showing, shaking hands and hugging people.
A lot of that
My
stuff.
God.
Yeah, but you're well compensated. Yeah, it's a good question. I think I'd rather be an AD because your life is in athletics. Although, the president's the top dog. Part of me would love to be the president with this board of trustees because I would love to just fuck with them. I would love to be as beloved as Batt, and then because it's not that they couldn't get rid of him, but a couple things. One, and I say that sort of being snide. One of the things that frustrates me about the Kevin Guskowitz, I should say, situation is like part of the job is the politics of it, is the smoothing over relationships of the board, is dealing with difficult people, is getting them on your side. It's making, somebody who doesn't love you, like you enough that they just do what you ask. I mean, that's part of manipulation, I guess, part of the job. These are big jobs, and you deal with some difficult people all the time, and every big job like this. I don't know. I don't understand anybody who thinks they're not going to.
Sparty Barb, Jason, what is your too early prediction for the Open champion? Man, still a couple weeks away. I like Goddard up. I'm going to sprinkle on Goddard up. I think Tom Kim, Bob McIntyre, those are the three guys currently, but things can change. Obviously, Scheffler, but I don't bet Scheffler because his odds are too short, especially for an outright.
And obviously those odds will be on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Also, Wimbledon draw dropped. If you want to, put a little on,
Well, speaking of, Sparty Barb has a question. Graham, what is your too early prediction for Wimbledon singles champion, men and women?
Okay, hold on. Give me some off. I do have this up.
I see the stars come out of the sky. Yeah, the bright and hollow sky.
Heading into twilight, spreading out her wings tonight.
All right, so there are a
She
few
got you jumping off the
big
deck.
big money odds I like. I mean, obviously, Sinner makes some sense if you get, I think he'll be out to do it, and I just get a little nervous in the heat. But, if you get anything minus 175 or under on him, I wouldn't hate that. But I think on the I think Ben Shelton at like 22-1 is interesting a little bit. I always like Medvedev at 33-1. Fonseca, who's had a rough graphs period after a great French Open, is 33-1 as well. Rafael Jodar, 33-1, had a great French Open, like a lot young guy. I think putting a sprinkling on a few of these, it's sort of like a golf bet. I think there are some. I think some of these guys are going to be left late, deep into the tournament. On the women's side, Donna Vekic, 40-1, Emma Raducanu, 22-1, and Barbara Krejcikova at 50-1. All people I kind of like on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. And for the Open, Tom Watson, as always.
Dude, Scotty Scheffler shooting a number today. Sorry for the live update, but by God, he's 10 under through 16. All right, David Jackson, do you see the high school stats of MSU basketball signees? I'm always interested in free throw percentages. As preps, could Cam Ward and Cohen Carr shoot free throws? Were Kerr Tang and Jesse McCullough as outstanding as I'm guessing they were? Does Izzo care about the stat?
So, I mean, you probably get access to their free throw stuff. The times I pay attention to it, and it's usually when they're already at Michigan State, but free throws to me translate to whether somebody can develop an outside shot. Like if somebody's a 50% three-point shooter or a free throw shooter, I don't think they're ever going to make threes. And like what I want to watch with Cam Ward, for example, this year, and I'm not saying Cam Ward needs to be a three-point shooter, but a lot of what was happening at the free throw line for him last year was based on that wrist injury, which is pretty severe. And so I want to see how he shoots as a free throw shooter because I think that will determine sort of his ceiling the rest of the way. So I think that stuff matters, and I'm sure they look at it to some degree. I don't know how much, though. I mean, a lot of these guys, too, they think, and sometimes rightly so, that they can fix a shot because this is what they do for a living. I mean, there are lots of coaches that aren't even, at the Big Ten level or Tom Izzo's level that can do that. Like Mike Ingram at Lansing Community College. I mean, he's known for that. Guys have played for him for that. I mean, he is a great shooting coach. How
good can he be if you're not in the Hall of Fame?
Well, he's not in the Greater Lansing Hall of Fame.
Seriously. Sorry, Mike.
Sorry,
Coach.
Desmond Ferguson, he must be.
Probably not.
Jesus. But,
is it like the Walk of Fame? Where
Mike
you have to
Griffith's
pay for
in there, so that's good.
The Mad Dog. Dave DeMarco. David Jackson, so far in the World Cup, every time I flip it on, I seem to be watching the college football equivalent of Mid-American Conference midweek games, or else Albany State at Georgia. When will we see two of the top 6 or 7 teams in the world play against each other? Drop me a PM then.
You're going to start seeing some really good stuff in the round of 16. But even the round of 32, like Netherlands-Morocco is a great matchup. You get a few of those. There will be some, and there's but you get to the round of 16 on, and usually the round of 16 is where the knockout stages begins. So, I mean, the idea that, even at that level, you'd start to see it. And I want to point out one. Give me 1 second here.
Highway to the danger zone.
So what you're looking at now in one quarter of the knockout bracket: Brazil, Japan, Norway, Ivory Coast, England, Senegal, Mexico, and Ecuador. That's pretty good stuff, And now there are, those are all top, 20 teams for sure. And there's a France, Germany, Netherlands sector too, perhaps. I mean, there's a lot of it's going to take but we're getting there. We're getting close.
Jeff Peterson, so many questions with World Cup action. Explain offsides to me in a way that, as Jeremy Irons said in Margin Call, as if I were a young child or a golden retriever.
Okay, basically, you can't go beyond. If you're an offensive player, you can't step or be beyond the last defensive player until the ball is kicked. The ball doesn't have to be by you, but until the ball is kicked, you can't. So you can't cherry pick the idea. So once the ball is kicked, you can move. So a defensive team will intentionally try to have a high line to draw you off or whatever, but you basically can't. The last defensive player down the field, you can't be beyond them until the ball is kicked. That's all it is.
D. Harv next. Graham, can you please spin zone the following? Extra time in soccer. Why is this not total ass? I understand that you can't stop the clock with every whistle and out of bounds, but you're telling me with all the technology available to FIFA that they can't be bothered to have a guy push a button to stop and start the clock after a goal or an injury? Instead, we wait for a mysterious clock wizard to declare how many more minutes they should play. And even that time is vaguely followed. Suddenly, the game is over.
This gets more frustrating with these hydration breaks of sorts that Fox is basking in right now, because it does feel like these are quarters, and this could be done more succinct, more like we do in American sports, right? But they do in college soccer do this here in this country as well. They do it like we do in American sports. One of the reasons it works usually is you have a situation where part of the free-flowingness of soccer is the clock just doesn't stop, but action stops, and they don't want to reward stopped action. You don't want to lose the game to time when somebody's faking an injury or there's a real injury or there's a goal, and so you tack on a little at the end. These hydration breaks make it a little more ridiculous, but I don't mind it. It is kind of, when you get 9 or 10 minutes of it, it feels like, I mean, how do you know exactly what it's going to be? But if you watch enough soccer, you get used to it. It would be weird to have it the other way. But
you don't hate it because it's not very accurate. Like, you just kind of don't know.
But where you stop, like, if you really want, here's the problem: where you stopped, if you wanted to actually stop the clock on every moment that they weren't playing, there'd be 45 more minutes a half, right? You can't really do that. You got to leave a little bit of the ref's discretion in there to keep the game within 2 hours.
Chris, as we finish the group stage, what are your picks, not necessarily to win the World Cup, but to surprise people? The U.S. should have a good path to the quarters. Argentina likely will have an SEC non-conference schedule to the semis, but my pick is Mexico to the quarters, beating England in the process.
Mexico might get Ecuador before that, which would be perhaps problematic. A really good game. Betting on the home teams, the energy of a home crowd, it's not going to be Canada, but between Mexico and the U.S., and you can look at, and Mexico, the U.S. has a really good path as well. Somebody's going to do something fun, and it usually happens with a host nation. England's better than Mexico, though, I think, so I would be a little nervous about that. But England versus Mexico and Mexico City, I think that game would be, right? I mean, that's...
How much longer is the World Cup?
Until you die. It just keeps going, Jason. Mid-July. Yeah.
Skylar Verdon. I'm often told the supporters in European soccer and their supporter sections are why soccer is so much better than all American sports, but Graham hates them. What's up with that, Graham?
I don't hate all cheering sections. I hate the sections where there's smoke and they're not watching the game and there are flags. I mean, how does the person behind you see the game if you got a 40 by 40 flag in front of them? And you're cheering the same level whether there's a goal or not. You don't know what's actually happening. You don't actually understand the sport. I don't like those people. I actually like the English fan quite a bit because their cheering sections are less, smoke in the stands and all the bullshit you see at the Detroit City FC games.
How do they get away with that at these stadiums though? Where you can just drop smoke bombs and stuff. Like, no one said. I mean,
yeah,
I can't even rip a fucking joint in that place. I mean, they would throw me out if I smoked a joint.
People die at these games. I mean, this is what happens. Not usually. I'm just saying. But yeah, no, it's.
Are we talking about World Cup or in the European soccer?
European soccer. Oh. I don't. I actually don't. I hate the Tottenham fan base and whatever they piss. And I hate certain fan bases that have annoyed me over time. That's all it is. And I'm just a weird dude. So don't pay any attention to me. By the way, if you're looking at teams that are sort of to surprise people, one of the problems with this event in terms of picking teams to win it, if you're looking for underdogs, is only 8 teams have ever won it, and Italy's not here. They're one of them, so 7 teams have ever won it. And it's not a tournament where underdogs win it. And so I would be careful about picking an underdog to go all the way.
What a great tournament.
I think so.
Jeff Peterson. So how does England's World Cup team compare to a team in the upper echelon of the Premier League?
I mean, they've got more talent because they've got they've got top guys from, Arsenal and Real Madrid and all over the place. And yeah, so talent-wise, but the top club teams would have a chance to win this tournament. If you took Man City or Arsenal or PSG in France, or they would all be right there. I mean, so talent-wise, there's a little more talent, obviously, because it's sort of an all-star collection for the countries that are the top countries. But, also Man City can pull from Norway. Erling Haaland is playing for Norway, and he's on Man City, right? He's their striker, and you got a lot of that. You got guys. I mean, Crystal Palace, I think, has 11 guys in the World Cup, and most of them aren't on the English team. So, but I would say the top English teams would do well in this. It would be pretty close, I think.
Jeff Peterson, what is with some of the odd spellings of countries? Turkey, Czechia?
Yeah, it's a good question on Turkey. I actually, why
would you need to change Turkey, though?
Yeah. All right, hold on. Let's look this up. We should do this.
Yeah, we should. Should definitely. Hold on, guys. We got to figure this out.
Okay, the Turkey is the second one. Turkey is the modernized English language. It's sort of like what they actually call themselves is Turkey, and somehow
is that like they them?
Well, it's weird because somehow we have, now that's now what we call them because maybe that's what they want to be called themselves. But we don't use every other country's language or I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I think Turkey is not offensive.
Pronouns.
You're fine to call somebody Turkey.
Scotty Green's El Camino. So the U.S. loss to Turkey was no big deal. Seems like the equivalent of Blue Jeans Wojcik being MSU's point guard and expecting to win a Big Ten game.
Well, the game didn't matter, and this is part of the problem with the way the setup is. If you think it's a problem, is you had a lot of dead rubber games, and this was a dead rubber, and so Turkey had no chance to move on, but was in big trouble back home. They had motivation. I'm not saying it's a country where you're going to get killed when you go back home if you lose a soccer match, but the people were going to be fired, and beating the host country, it mattered. And the U.S. is trying to stay healthy and is already won the group, and so they had. It wasn't even whether they're going to finish first or second in the group. They had won the group, and so there was nothing at stake for the U.S. other than potential injuries. And so you
wasn't that Uday Hussein back in the day, like Saddam's crazy kids? They would do that.
The Iraq. Every time I watch Iraq play a soccer game, I'm like, God, I can't.
How could you play like knowing that is the alternative? I guess like, good Lord,
yeah, no,
you got to win a World Cup or you die. And wouldn't you he would keep them in like these weird underground bunkers or something too that were only like 3 feet high? And
I would not want to play.
I read a lot about Uday Hussein back in the day.
His sons were brutal.
Oh, they were complete pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Scotty Green's El Camino. Did you see Dusty May's reaction when Mara got drafted? What was that? Is the dude on the spectrum? Well, I think we all are on the spectrum.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being
Dusty
on the
May
spectrum.
might be on another level of a spectrum for sure.
I didn't. Look, he's got to fake some response. I don't know if he's a little awkward once in a while. He's not, I've always thought that about him, but there's nothing wrong with that. We're all awkward. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Salisbury, have you seen Parks and Rec? If not, you have time to look up Robot Congressman from there. This is Dusty May. P.S. Blood work was good enough. I only started worrying since I had kids.
Yeah. Getting your blood work's always a little. It's like, what do you mean? Are you saying too many donuts? I don't think that's possible.
Oh, the blood work. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
It's always good to have those. I don't know. I don't mind taking them.
I'd
rather know. I don't want to just.
Yeah, I do too.
Something sneak up on you.
And it pops into your phone. It's like you have a new. You're like, ooh, let's see what this says.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. I have seen Parks and Rec, but I have not seen that part. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I get Dusty May is not the, but I wouldn't even put him at a. Like, I don't look at Dusty May as a guy with a punchable face, right? Like, we've talked about the Brad Osmuses of the world and other people. I guess if you really dislike him, anybody can have a punchable face. That's the problem.
Well, it's combined with the Michigan thing.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why
he's a little, quirky.
Yeah.
Riemann Schneider, Jay Riemann Schneider, seems to be a lot of relief from MSU about Dusty leaving. Would it be a big disappointment or shock if Michigan still was the better team next year with a new interim coach and from MZA? How much worse is Michigan without May if they don't lose any players?
It's hard to know. It's who they hire and how good a coach they are, and are they able to get the most out of it? We just don't know yet. May was obviously a very good coach, but there are other good coaches out there. The thing that'll be, when you say how much worse is Michigan, we don't know what Michigan would have been with May. I think year to year they would have been very good, but what happened last year was a rare. I mean, to have 3, top 12 picks in the front line, is just not going to happen most years. No matter, win a national championship is not going to happen most years. Now, he may have been building something that was a behemoth, but, I don't know. Would the money have always been there for him at the level he needed to do that? I'm not sure it would have either. So, but yeah, we just don't know. We don't know who they're going to hire and how they'll react to them, and we don't even have anything to compare it to because we don't know what they would have been under Dusty May.
Jay Riemenschneider, if Imani Bates had attended MSU, do you think his pro playing career would have turned out any different?
Depends if he would have stayed and if he would have bought in. That could have happened some other places too. I think he went to the worst place in Memphis for him. But, I don't know. I don't know if he was ready to hear it and he was ready to buy into what he would have needed to buy in. If he was a huge talent. And, obviously, I'm sure he tells himself now, or you hope he does, if he had to do it over again, he would do it a little differently. But that'd
be great if he didn't, though. It's like, nah.
I'm the best.
I enjoyed the way it was. It was brutal. Riemenschneider, what is Alan Haller doing now as a job?
He's going to be the commissioner of the NFL's Flag Football League. So I think he's moving to New York, and good for him. Nice guy and a guy, again, I'll say this, in terms of he may have not been somebody who was able to take MSU where they wanted to go. And there's debate about whether 10 years from now, what the level of applause for him will be if he shows up at a basketball game. But I bet he ages better than J Batt. I'll say that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Going out on a limb?
Yeah.
Since we're not having a hot take show on Monday. MZA, how have each of MSU centers looked defensively?
Really hard to know. Because it's Moneyball. This is where you don't want to.
Yeah, but just lie a little bit. Give us a little.
Well,
something.
There's some one-on-one stuff that looks good. There was a really nice play by Anton Bonk, yesterday.
We can call him Bonky.
Bonky.
It's okay. You want to. I can. Every time you say Bonk, I can feel it in your voice that you're like, this doesn't feel right.
It was a really nice play against Julius Avent, in which he Avent's a load coming downhill, and the way he sort of forced him into a shot he didn't want to take and blocked it was impressive. All of that said, Michigan State is known for its team defense, its gap, help, elbow defense. And talking to a couple guys about this, the freshmen, especially Avent, he was just talking about that, working on that and figuring that out. That's a huge component of whether you're going to get on the floor. Can you defend it? So the big guys, can you defend ball screens? Can you be the player in the team concept they need you to be? So there's some individual part to it that's no question that I haven't seen anything that said, that guy can't do it, but I haven't seen anything that said they can either. But that's, I think Bonk's a little more seasoned. He's a big guy. I think he moves well enough. Taylor, it's just way too early to know. My guess is he needs a little more time. McCullough's the guy I'm kind of curious about because he's not as big, and can he defend the position at a level high enough to play meaningful minutes there? I don't know.
MZA, is Fears a lock for Big Ten Player of the Year?
No, because, there have been a lot of years where you think that person going in, and Purdue's had guys like that haven't wound up being the guy, and no, there's no locks.
Max, what's the over-under on Draymond knocking out Lendenborg? I'll go with under 10 minutes. I take that, yeah.
I take over. They're going to play kind. There will be a day, though. The problem
they're going to make him do the rookie hazing thing, right?
The problem is he's already older than Draymond, right? They graduated high school the same year. No, sorry.
Dang.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, no, I think because of what happened with Jordan Poole, that Draymond Green, and I know there's certain times he can't control himself, he is not going to let that happen because that would end his career in Golden State.
Original Dark Mantonio, reasons for Dusty May to leave, millions more dollars. Yep, coach in the NBA, of course, but why the backlash about Dusty saying he doesn't like the new world of college basketball? He may hate it as much as Izzo. Just because someone is good at something doesn't mean they can't hate it at the same time.
That's a fair point. He was good at using it and building with it, and he did his job, right? It doesn't mean you – and he may look at it like, man, what I pulled off last year is hard to do. That level of talent, the resources they did it with, because they did it with resources, but not Kentucky-level resources, I don't think. And he may think, I don't want to annually have to do this. So, I don't think there should – look, it's just rivalry bullshit. There's all the backlash of anything. If you go on the cesspool that is X today and you just look at Michigan State fans giving Michigan State fans shit because they've had more first-round picks or whatever, and Michigan State fans talking about, the number of straight NCAA tournaments or other guys who've done things, you can frame it however you want. There in an hour, if you gave me an hour, I could frame either argument. It was one of those programs is much better than the other. And here's what's asked. I know Michigan finally won a national title. Not finally, but won the national title. But the great thing about that basketball rivalry that I think some people are losing right now is you cannot one-up the other. The national championship sort of does it, but I'm talking about over time. For well over a decade now, those have been pretty equal programs. And so even if, winning a national title separates you a little bit, it's not like the other program sucks. You were right that you were even with them until you won this. So if you were even with them until you won this, and they suck because they're not you, then did you suck before you won this? And there are certain things, and I talk about the Maryland game. If I were an MSU fan, that's what I would use. Is like, the Maryland game late in the season before, when the Big Ten title was on the line. You don't get. There are certain things you can't really get past, and Michigan fans didn't show up when something was on the line in basketball, which speaks to what they actually care about with basketball, and they're enjoying this win, and they're enjoying giving it to Michigan State fans, as they should. But their level of actual give a shit about hoops is that Maryland game, right? There's no line right there. That was unfortunately the proof until they have an opportunity to support a team in a similar setting and do better.
Original, are you surprised in the order of the Michigan players being drafted? Most predictions had it flipped.
No, because Merez Johnson's the best pro, I think, out of that group. And because he's the defense, the switchability, the understanding. The basketball IQ, and that's why Dusty took him. Like Merez Johnson is a better pro than Yaxel, in my opinion.
Original, as a writer, have you ever covered the Mackinac Policy Conference?
No, and I hate it. I hate it for a few reasons. One, it was a lot of wasted money up there, and I didn't like it when M Live was first going through its changeover, and I was at the Kalamazoo Gazette, and M Live was covering some things I cared about less. Spent like 30 reporters up to Mackinac. Can't get somebody to Western Michigan, Minnesota for a effing football game or watch, but they can send 30 to the Mackinac Policy Conference. Like, I've always resented that policy conference. I think there's a lot of wasted money on that island, and I don't think it needs to exist. And so I've never covered it and never will.
Kurt Wisniewski, the Lions knew Arnold was in trouble. Why didn't they make additional moves for a corner? And from Cooper, what do the Lions do in the secondary now? Oh, my God. Pray. You would think, though. Right? Like Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell had to sit in Dan's office and talk about Arnold and what the facts were, because they probably knew the facts, right?
Yeah.
Of the case. Like, we're probably not going to have him this year, maybe for an extended period of time.
They had to know something was
right.
They've got to have a plan. And the good news is, we talked about this. Defensive backs, they're going to play. Arnold would have been out by week 6 anyway for the year, so it's not like you were going to have him for the postseason anyway, because that's the way it works. All these guys
core
hurt.
Foundation, man, grit.
Take your top 5 defensive backs; they're all gone by the postseason. That's the way it works.
So maybe we could have Terry and Arnold back then.
Right? Maybe this might work out well for them, and you would win the bet and get the free meal at front
46
front 43 in Cask and Company.
Come on, TA. Kurt, when is the Rube and Nolan show, sponsored by the MSU Dairy Store, debuting? Sorry, Couch. This would allow no breaks and a month-long vacation for you and Marquette. What the fuck do I have to suffer for? I don't get this whole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like doing the show with Couch,
It doesn't seem fair, does it?
What? He gets a month off and I got to sit here with the intern?
Now, if we could both go to Marquette, if Jason could take Therese and I could take Elizabeth, and we could.
Oh, then I'll do a show with Nolan.
No, I'm just saying you and I could do a show from up there. We do if we had a month in Marquette, we would do a show. Do a show from Lake Superior. If anybody wants to sponsor
Talking
that,
about soccer.
Yeah, anybody wants to, be amazing. MSU
do the show with Nolan.
Yeah.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. First-time visitors to the USA should try blank.
I don't know, if you were coming over here, what would you say? This is what I want to do. This is what you should do.
Smoke weed in public or something. I don't know.
I would say not try to overdo it. Like, so many times people don't understand
that's impossible. Depends on where you come from, though.
Well, they don't understand how big the U.S. is. People are always like, okay, we're going to spend the afternoon, and I've heard this before, afternoon in Chicago, then we'll drive to Cleveland.
Are those the flat earth people? They don't look at a map?
Well, they do. They just don't understand how large the distance is, because in their country, the map's the same size, but the distance between things is a couple hours on a train or whatever, an hour here and there. It is something that happens all the time with foreigners. And I'll give you an example of where it's even happened to me in a smaller degree. Like, I remember going to Boston in 2008, 2009, and getting on the T, which is their version of the L, their subway. And based on their map, I thought, we're going to get on here. We're going to take it 2 stops or 1 stop to there. 1 stop on the T is like 50 feet, but if you're used to the Chicago L, you think you need to do it, right? And so it's all the scale, and I think that's what people struggle with. I would say, pick some, I don't know, just don't try and do too much. Pick some major cities and some
I don't even know if you have to go that major, where like gambling is legal, weed's legal.
Go to Marquette.
Some fast food, some good food, something like that. Like I said, it all depends where you're coming from and what is illegal where you're from.
Pacific Northwest, Maine, places like that. That's where I go.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, will Terrion Arnold play for the Lions or a prison team this year?
Well, we got.
I mean, he could still play for a prison team this year if he's like, if they don't give him bail and he's locked up. He's got to do something on the prison yard. But he's still probably held in some sort of county jail or something. I don't know.
I think he's in big trouble.
Jarrett, was there a lot of backlash in expanding the World Cup tournament just like the NCAA?
There were people unhappy with it. You don't have the bracket and the same deal. Like, it's not an annual thing. So it's not as universally, like, my mom doesn't get into the World Cup the way she gets into her NCAA tournament bracket, right? It's not, and that's what wasn't at stake. And this was expanding it for more countries and more. It's a little different, the expansion. It's just not the same.
I like how you put your mom in the demographic that they're both going for, though. Like, your mom isn't really the good example.
She's not a good
example. Bless her heart. But you know what I mean? Like, my mom takes the NCAA bracket seriously.
There were people upset with it, and there are people who don't love this, but not as much, no.
Jarrett, did Indiana winning the national championship quiet the interest on the upcoming season in college football? I think that would do the opposite, though, right? Like, if Indiana did it, so can we?
Yeah. Is the teams – I mean –
it was a good story last year, even though.
Yeah, I mean, the great underdog story is kind of taken, I guess. But one of the things that's cool is it does seem much more plausible for any program anywhere to rise up and win, whereas 10 years ago it did not. And that's cool.
Mayor of Fittstown, Graham, as a journalist who covers MSU and loves the beautiful game, Jason, that means soccer, you should write an article covering J Batt blocking a World Cup team from having their training base at DeMartin. Great boost for the university and local economy, killed by Batt.
So I've heard some whispers on this. I did not look into it while I was off. I do wonder if there's a boatload of construction going on campus. If you've been there, it's hard to get around. It's hard to. I'm not, and you got to be able to put teams up and move them. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I do wonder if there's more just logistically to it, because it does seem like a cool thing to have a World Cup team staying here in the Lansing area.
Brad B., why isn't this $400 million donation from Greg and Dawn Williams being used to buy good recruits and transfers to jumpstart this football program? It's unacceptable to suck for this long.
Well, it can be, two things can be true. It can be unacceptable to suck for this long, and it can be and it undeniably frustrating. And also, that never the donation wasn't for that. They would not have given it for that. They would not. Smart people aren't wasting their money in that way. One of the things I've said often about the idea of NIL, especially the idea of boosters, is paying millions for. It really is fiscally irresponsible. It does not speak well of your university. Okay, it doesn't mean you don't want it, but I'm just saying it does not. It's not intelligent behavior to waste your money on a running back or defensive tackle, and especially when there's all sorts of other things you'd be spending on in this world. I hope as you drive by a hungry child under an underpass, you're like, well, at least I paid for a fucking defensive tackle. When
is the last time you saw a hungry child under an underpass?
Maybe not an underpass, but I've seen them in
terrible example.
Doorways of cities, like in outside shops and stuff. It's awful. Sorry. Point being, this was not meant for that. This was meant to be more lasting and more sustainable, and to build a system that allowed Michigan State to compete. And I think that was not explained well enough by people like me, by other people. I'm just going to blame Chris Solari.
Patty Eves next, asking this as a college-age person myself. Why does Michigan's 44-year-old new coach follow hundreds of random college girls? Is it something in the Ann Arbor water? Something in the air, or just a job requirement to be a weirdo when you apply there?
Yeah, I saw some stuff on this. I have no idea. I haven't looked into it. It could be completely innocent. Maybe, his daughter is part of some modeling agency. Maybe it's all bullshit. I don't know. I'm just...
Can you be Terrion Arnold's lawyer?
I have no idea.
Maybe his daughter's a part of a modeling agency.
Yeah,
I have to follow all of my daughter's friends.
It is weird when people do this. They have to know this stuff is public. Like who you follow is public. You keep that stuff on
Just follow porn stars like normal 44-something-year-old
or
guys.
do it on a burner. Have a separate account where you do it. That's not your name. Yeah.
Matty B, are we serious with the Dusty May water carrying? He was sick of the landscape? Please. The dude was just saying it has never been easier to recruit. Why is it hard for the media to push back on anything or ask pressing follow-up questions in interviews? Michigan media claps like seals.
Welcome to the blue wall.
Well, yeah.
You could ask a follow-up, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know how bad
I feel
it was.
like Angelique could get a follow-up in there.
There was some that felt like water carrying, but I don't know what water carrying over. But he wanted to go somewhere else. Like he wanted a new job. He wanted to go to the NBA. I don't understand what's wrong with that. Like I don't. And the idea that there are some frustrations and it's a difficult, like we'll never know. But if it was 10 years ago and that's what college basketball was, now he wouldn't have been able to build a team the way he did at Michigan. But it would he want to leave? And I don't know. I think it's a very different job than it was 10 years ago when he was coming up.
Matty B, isn't the job of a beat writer to use facts? How is Go Blue Tony, MSU alum and nice guy and totally neutral Tony, posting about NIL payrolls without actually showing a source?
So I'm assuming somebody's told him that information. I don't think it's correct.
Are we talking about Tony Garcia?
Yeah, who's
white?
Who's white and also was at one point in his life was a massive Michigan State fan. This is not Go Blue Tony.
You said was.
Well, my guess is when you cover this stuff, you don't, you're just too close to it. You're far. You lose fandom even of other schools. You're not. It's hard in the sport you cover to be a fan. I'm not saying he couldn't get it back. I'm not saying.
So if you like sports, you should not be a sports writer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or at least of the sport you're going to be covering.
That's kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer to some degree. Yeah. No, it changes how you see the game. I've talked to somebody the other day who was talking about they did just for a little while. They don't even cheer at games anymore. It's not that they don't care, but they people watch. They find and I do the same thing at games when I'm just at a game, not as a writer. It changes. Yeah, you get used to just sort of sitting on your hands, and it's a different.
Sounds terrible. To be honest with you.
That's why you have to put money on games.
Matty B, Graham, let's say you can write anything you want, but every column a few colleagues said it was garbage and talk to people in public about it. Not a fun work environment, right? That's what you said Gus and Batt should just shut up and deal with because they had the votes.
Well, not everything's ever going to be easy. In those jobs, you're going to deal with some gruff, right? And you've got to, part of that gig is figuring out how to work the room to get people on your side. And maybe it was too much. Maybe Rima Vassar and Deno and all these guys are just too difficult. And they're like, again, Rima Vassar, there's a Chronicle of Higher Education podcast with her on it that if you listen to the whole thing, you will leave it and wonder how the hell do we vote for? But we did, right? As she'll tell you, 2.7 million. Toward the end, she gets caught in a little bit of a lie. And there's a little bit of self-importance. Like you listen to these people and you realize they think these jobs are important. These should not be political jobs. You're not going there. This is not Congress. This is not, and even those jobs have way too much ego in them. But the problem with the elected system is people win something and they think they've done something. They think they are something, And I think the first thing you need to do for any board of trustees members, we need to get them in a room and you say, you have a job to do, but you are nothing. And just because. If you bring down the ego, right? You are nothing. Your job is to help shepherd this, but you are nothing because the ego you see, and it's not that it's any worse than a lot of other people in a lot of other professions, but you can it comes through in their writing, the editorials, it comes through in the podcast stuff they've done. It's a little too much for what a university needs, and
it's quite the motivational speech, though.
Well,
you're nothing.
Yeah, it's strong. It's strong. But anyway, I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but if you are Kevin Guskowitz, you have to know there's going to be some pushback. He wanted to do things on campus. He wanted to change the footprint of campus and the way they have this stadium district, right? Not everybody's going to love that. He wanted to change the way they do athletics, bring in private money. Not everybody's going to love that. You have to be ready to not just have a rubber stamp and to sell it. And if not everybody's on board and you have the majority, move on. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And there are dolts and idiots in every profession, and you've just got to deal with them.
The Jemai Jones of Southern Maine next. Will the next MSU AD have the courage to try and hire Dusty May when Izzo retires?
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think you can do the head coach to head coach thing. You can be an assistant like we see with Saudi Washington. You can do that sort of thing. We've seen that on the football staff and other things. Assistant coaches can become assistant coaches and maybe rise eventually to be a head coach. And Saudi Washington, in the basketball cases, his dad played at Michigan State. He's from Lansing and all that stuff.
Mara tries AI next. I haven't listened to the show since MSU's lost because I'm too sad. Finally tuned in, and you have a baby and an intern? What the hell did I miss? I still am not sure if the baby is just a new cat and it's a bit that it's a baby.
No, it's our baby. We're not stealing it from our neighbor.
My fault for missing shows. Izzo needs to win this year with Dusty gone. If we win it and they get the wrong coach, it can set up lots of momentum for post-Izzo era.
I've thought this before, that if one of them's struggling, it helps the other, and it does if one of them really falls. I don't think either one of them is going to really fall to that degree where Michigan was for, a decade or whatever, 15, 20 years ago. But I do think not having Michigan, like if Dusty May had Michigan as a perennial Final Four team all of a sudden and won another national title, and they became sort of where UConn is, that becomes a pain in the ass. But ultimately, the momentum for Michigan State post-Izzo is having the athletic department winning, the football program winning, MSU winning under Izzo, having sort of a plan where you want to go, having the resources in place so the next coach can be successful, and a really good AD ready to help make that hire. Those are the things that need to happen.
Skiles' long pinky fingernail next. What MSU player is this summer's biggest surprise standout between football, spring practice, and basketball, Moneyball?
No idea on football because those spring practices aren't open other than stretching. But basketball, the surprise standout is Julius Avent because he's the least heralded of the freshmen, and he's been like, it's one of those things. It's kind of fun. This doesn't happen all the time. Like I remember the Tuesday night, I sat down to watch that game, the last game, and the crowd had thinned out a little bit because the first two games had bigger names in them, and all of a sudden I was like, whoa! Every possession I was like, wow, this guy's noticeable. Like he's playing with intent. He's got some ability. This is interesting, and that doesn't always happen. And so I think it's got to be him.
Munfield Keg next. I feel like I'm going to say this every summer. I miss Common Ground. I know it got too big and messy, and the money has to come from somewhere. Are there any rumblings of future music festival stuff? I think the new Grand Rapids Amphitheater, what the fuck? You spell that right? Amphitheater? Just has me jealous.
I miss Common Ground was great too. I miss the old Michigan Fest. You remember the Michigan Fest when we were kids?
Yeah, I saw Al Green there.
Man,
way back in the day.
I saw Randy Travis. But they used to have.
That's how you know you're old, if you're before Common Ground.
Yeah,
I hate admitting that. Jesus.
It was, but they had so many things. They had like kids areas when I was a kid, like and they had different concerts, different nights. The whole thing was Michigan Fest was awesome.
And it was affordable.
You had like a button, right, and that got you in almost anything. Yeah. It was pretty cool. Common Ground
went for big bands, which I appreciated, but it just doesn't work out for a venue that size.
When before Common Ground, there was between Michigan Fest and Common Ground, there was River Fest, which is when they had the Gus Macker down here in the '90s and stuff like that, and that was, that was cool too. It needs something. Yeah.
Go back there. Skiles' long pinky fingernail. Had a wine night last night and have a crushing hangover this morning. In other news, my phone buzzed early this morning with a calendar invite from my boss for a call in 15 minutes while I was still in bed. What's the shittiest corporate boss move you've endured?
You had a corporate boss move that sucked?
I've never had a corporate boss. Yeah. That contacted me?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of really bad situations where I've had to like get up and I've been a part of companies that have had, sort of surprise announced layoffs where it happened. I was at MLive with the Kalamazoo Gazette and Booth Newspapers when it became MLive, and that November, like early November 2nd or whenever it was, when they laid off a lot of people, and they still worked there for 2 months, but they made all the announcements. That was like one of those out of the blue, get a call from your boss. A lot of things are happening, and it sucked. And that's happened in our business a fair bit. I was in Freeport when that paper got sold. So yeah, I've been a part of a few of those things, and it sucks. And you just see people are going to leave, and jobs are going to change, and the world that was in front of you is over, and that's not.
I just think they were talking about, have you ever had a meeting sprung on you when you had a hangover? I mean, I didn't know if you had to go into the whole.
Yeah, well, I think the worst thing that happened, and this was my boss was actually great about this. I was supposed to speak at a high school journalism thing they do every year down at the Lansing Center. And I was supposed to do a session, and I had the day wrong. There are a couple, and it was one of those things where I had the date different than the day, and in my head or whatever it was. And I wake up, I'm downstairs in like boxers, t-shirt, maybe basketball shorts. Keep this clean. Basketball shorts, t-shirt, coffee. It's like 9:02 in the morning, and I get a call from my boss. We got a couple different things. She's like, Graham, where are you? There's like a huge ballroom full of people waiting to listen to you speak. Oh, shit. And so I put on like an Irish cap and some pants, and luckily I live like 5 minutes away, and I think I was talking to kids at like 9:15, but I've been awake for like 13 minutes, and all of a sudden I was in front of, 200 people talking about shit. And
it's probably a better way to have it happen, though. Like,
yeah.
I feel it, because I don't like speaking in front of that many people like that. So if you told me 15 minutes of like, it's better than knowing a couple days in advance, because then you just sit there and that's all you think about it. Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah.
I remember when I officiated Andrew and Monica's wedding.
Yeah.
That was the first I had done, and I was really nervous about that.
Dude, I was nervous for you.
Yeah, I was.
And
terrified.
You did a great job. It was unreal. Yeah.
I would a year later, I did my friend Dan Kilbridge's wedding. And I was better at just because I was more relaxed going in. Like, I was still nervous, and I remember, that morning, like, Elizabeth got sick, and I was almost happy she got sick. Not that she got sick, but like, I was distracted by it. Like, we were at a hotel in South Haven. I had to go to Meyer, and I had to like deal with helping make her feel better instead of thinking about screwing up this wedding. But with Andrew and Monica, I was of Groovy Donuts fame.
I'm so happy you're sick.
Yeah, no, I was.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I remember that whole week being like, oh God, I just wish the day.
Because it's the worst
here.
case scenario.
Yeah,
like, because you're like, what if I ruin these people's like their wedding, or like when we do the show and one of us like amphitheater, and you just all of a sudden your brain just like, you can't do that.
No,
in a wedding thing. This dumb show, we can do that.
And I was so nervous about things not being official. Like, I was still concerned that the whole idea of me being able to officiate a wedding was legit. Well, like I was like 5 years later, we're going to find out they're not married. Like, that's you know what I mean? Like, shit.
But they also had a couple different things in the wedding ceremony too.
They were tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You had to do there was some tying
with ropes. Yeah. No, I still remember
Couch. I have so much respect for Couch now, because that was, if they would have thrown that, I would just been like, oh man, I can't do that.
That morning, I remember going. Oh, dude. My wife was just waking up, and she wakes up to me with ropes. I'm like, give me your hands. I got to practice this.
You should know.
Yeah,
I know. Ralph E., what a week. Winning football, 5. Count them 5 quick takes. Ward and Scott grew biceps. A-Vent turning heads. And a Spartan speak to listen to over the weekend. Any other surprise columns coming before daddy time? And, Jason, I disagree with you about being a bad reader. You're seriously very good. At least you don't have to pronounce Giannis Antetokounmpo's last name all the time. No, but McGognagle.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
McGognagle.
I still have very little confidence in that one.
Amphitheater.
Yeah. If you had to do first of all, Giannis is enough of a
Greek freak.
It's enough of a first name that if you say, like, if you were in Milwaukee doing this show, you'd just say Giannis, and everybody know who it was. And that would help you. Yeah.
Hans Jurgen. Shouldn't the announcers mention Turkey's genocide of the Greeks and Armenians last night?
If we want to go country by country and sort of,
we should know. Let's never forget
the things they've inflicted on other people. Like, the English would have big problems with all the colonization and be like, and a reminder, they once colonized the country they're playing.
Germany.
Yeah. Oh,
boy. Yeah. I don't know if you're a history buff.
Well, you got Bosnia and Croatia both in the World Cup. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Hans Jurgen, is the best way to spend your golden years in debauchery in Thailand?
Probably. Yeah.
If that's what you're into.
Yeah.
Hans Jurgen, for my birthday, should I visit my daughter studying in Denmark or go to Vegas?
Denmark. 100 out of 100 Denmark. Yeah. First of all, cool. Something I would love to go to Denmark. And Vegas is Vegas. Yeah, and by the way, you don't even need to go to,
overrated.
even if you want the things that are in Vegas, you just go to the Firekeepers Eye Casino and Sportsbook. Oh, sorry, the Firekeepers Eye Casino and Sportsbook is on your phone. You don't need to do that. You go to Dacey's Tap Room and Sportsbook, rather, on I-94 in Battle Creek at Firekeepers Casino. And don't even need to be in Vegas. You don't have to deal with the heat, the people, all that stuff. It's all right in front of you at Firekeepers.
Hans Jurgen, if it is a Mexico and U.S. World Cup final, will you be rooting against the Gringos?
No, I would root for the U.S. I would root for the U.S. for sure. Yeah, I mean, I like the Mexican team. I watch a lot of Mexican soccer and league play, but I would 100% be rooting for the U.S.
Hans, what would you do if TMZ started taking pictures of you and your family? What if Jason was the photographer?
Ham it up and pose, man. It'd be awesome. I won't, don't get nothing to hide.
Yeah, but you say that like at the beginning, but like after a couple of years of it, like I can understand some of these celebrities losing their shit.
Sure, yeah.
Because these guys are absolute penises holding those cameras.
And
right?
I think if I had enough money, I would pay off some of the tabloid people to leave me alone and also police it. I'd be like, hey.
Oh, that's never been done before.
I'm sure it has, right? Yeah. But if you also police it, like, hey, if nobody gets a picture, then I pay you double. If I don't see these people around, if you crack their skulls with your camera, then we're
cracking skulls. Hans, MSU football is predicted to finish 17th in the Big Ten in some publications. Say it ain't so.
Well, of course, I mean, if you're a national publication and you're trying to put all this together and you're looking at where MSU finished, they have a new coach. You know, it doesn't look like they have all the money in the world.
And you're writing that in early May.
Yeah, right. That's where else would you? It'd be irresponsible to have them anywhere else. I mean, but none of these people know anything, and especially now that like I used to write these in these preseason magazines. I used to do a lot of this, Michigan State and the Western Michigan ones, and you do them in like April, May, but before the transfer portal, it was at least a little more like you kind of knew the roster because you'd talk to the head coach usually of each of these teams in like April, and they'd give you a sense of things. And the beauty of it was too is the coaches knew these things weren't going to be out till July or June, so even if things hadn't happened, they'd be like, yeah, this guy's going to be the better player, he's going to beat them out or whatever, and you get information that way. I don't know that these are anywhere near as informed. And in Michigan State, that's what you would absolutely predict. I would not read too much into it. I still think I think there's just as good a chance that Michigan State wins 6 games as they do 4 games. And I think there's a really good chance they're over the 3.5.
Upper deck jerk guy. So Avent is going to start and be one and done, eh?
I would be very surprised at 6'7" if he is that. I don't think he's big enough. I mean, that's one of the things you like if you're Michigan State, though. You do get guys who, and again, in the transfer portal, he could leave after 1 year, he could leave any time. But in theory, he's around for a while because unless he develops a certain skill set, like that's, and the 7'3" wingspan helps and all that stuff, but is a guy who's a force heading downhill, like 6'7", he's going to have an outside game.
Upper deck jerk guy, who wins in a Papa shot contest between you and Solari?
So I'm the better
Graham.
I'm the better basketball player, but Solari is a Papa shot master, from what I understand. Like Solari in arcade games, I would not fuck with. Yeah,
I think we need to see this. I'd watch that. Upper deck jerk guy, is it fair to see the Flocka Naka Sinahilification of Spartan football by the fans?
All right, let's hope this isn't porn. I'm going to Google this.
I'll take you right in.
It is the act or habit of estimating something as valueless, unimportant, or worthless. At 29 letters long, this rare noun is mostly used as an amusing curiosity word among nerds. But it's amazing.
I want to see someone say that word, though, like in a fluent kind of way.
Flocka Naka. Yeah, it's just too long.
Yeah. Thanks for your attempt.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. We appreciate all of you. Upper Deck Jerk Guy, Eric Schultz, everybody who makes this show what it is, whatever that is, year-round. And appreciate you hanging with us when we take a little bit of time to recharge and try to come back, again, better than we were before or something. We appreciate our friends at Firekeepers, the Firekeepers Eye Casino and Sportsbook app. Download it today. Bet Wimbledon, bet the World Cup, bet the Tigers, bet against the Tigers. Whatever it might be, do it responsibly. Also, we appreciate Groovy Donuts. GroovyDonuts.com. Place your order today. Of course, we appreciate Muskox Flannels. We appreciate Firekeepers and the Firekeepers Eye Casino and Sportsbook app. Midtown Brewing Company. A lot of really good people who've supported us over time, and hope there's more to come. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch to the Roof.